So in today's video, I'm going to show you how to block all ads on your home network using a Raspberry Pi, using Docker, and using a software called PiHole. And the first thing we're going to do is we are going to SSH into our Raspberry Pi. And since my Raspberry Pi has already been connected to the internet and I have set up SSH, I can just do SSH and then the host name, which is tutorials.local. And I'm going to use the user pi. I'm going to go ahead and enter my password. And I have already installed Docker on this Raspberry Pi, but I do have a tutorial to do that if you need instructions. But I'm going to first see if I have any Docker containers running. So I'm just going to go ahead and do Docker ps. And we can see that we actually have no containers running. So now I'm going to switch over to the PiHole.net website, and here it's going to run us through how to install with Docker. So install a supported operating system, and I'm going to go ahead and do Docker install. This setup actually uses Docker Compose, which is a nice and easy way to start Docker containers with configuration. So I'm going to go ahead and install that on my Raspberry Pi. So sudo apt get docker compose. And I actually need to do sudo apt-get install. It's going to ask if I want to continue, and I'm going to say yes. And it's going to go ahead and install all the packages we need. So now that we have Docker Compose installed, we should be able to do docker-compose. And you can see it gives us a list of commands because we didn't actually properly run it with a Docker Compose file. So that's what we're going to do next, is we're going to create a Docker Compose file to actually start the PiHole container. I'm going to go ahead and clear my screen. And you can see here in the quick start, the first step is to copy dockercompose.yaml.example to dockercompose.yaml. So I'm going to make a directory called workspace. And then inside workspace, cd workspace, I'm going to make another directory called PiHole. And this is going to this is where we are going to put our Docker Compose file. So I'm going to go ahead and do vim docker compose.yaml. And within here, I'm going to go ahead and copy the contents of this file into here. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy it. And then insert in Vim is you press the I key, and then you can go ahead and paste it. And that is it. So we can see here, if we take a quick look at this, we can see that it's going to give it a container name, which is going to be named PiHole. It's going to use the PiHole image, and the version is going to be the latest. And it's going to open up ports 53 for TCP and UDP, port 67 for UDP, and port 80, which is the default port for HTTP with TCP. And you can see that it's going to set the time zone to America/Chicago, which is something you can change. It's going to set the web password if we comment that out, or if we uncomment that out, I should say. So I'm going to go ahead and actually uncomment this. And I'm going to set the web password to something simple, just for testing purposes. And this can be whatever you want it to be, but for testing, I'm just going to go ahead and set it to be admin. And then it's going to create some volumes to map the data between your host and the actual container. And it's going to add some privileges that it needs to actually run the container. So now we're going to go ahead and hit escape, and then shift : and then WQ for write and quit. So now we have our Docker Compose file. If we do an ls-la, you can see that we have this Docker Compose file, and I actually put it in the wrong directory, so I'm going to go ahead and move that file. So move Docker Compose to PiHole. Now if we do cd PiHole, do an ls-la, we can see that we have the Docker Compose file here. And the next step you can see in the instructions is to run docker compose up-d. And this is going to take the configuration in this Docker Compose file, and it's going to actually start the container. So docker compose up-d. And you can see that it's doing a bunch of things. It is creating the network, and it is pulling the PiHole image from the internet. So this is going to take a few minutes, and we're going to wait for it to be finished. And then once it's done, I'm going to show you the web interface for PiHole. So you can now see that it said creating PiHole done. So if we do a docker ps, we can see, and I'm going to actually maximize this. We can see that our container PiHole is actually now running, and it has a bunch of different ports open, and it has a health, and it says starting, and it's been up for 10 seconds. So if we do a docker logs and then PiHole, we can see that it actually started the service. So this is very good. It set the password, it did a bunch of configuration, and it is now running on server IP 0.0.0.0, which is localhost. So now if we navigate back to Chrome, I'm going to go ahead and navigate to our PiHole admin page. So it's going to be our host name, which is http tutorials.local and then /admin. And you can see this is our admin page. So it's got how many things are blocked, how many domains are on the block list, and we're going to go ahead and log in. And our password is what we actually set in our Docker Compose file, which was admin. So I'm going to go ahead and type that in. And now we can see that we have our dashboard here, and it gives you a bunch of interesting information, including the temperature of your CPU, the memory usage, the CPU usage of your Raspberry Pi. So if we actually go to the tab called Group Management, and then we go to Add Lists, you can see here that we have a default configured add list, and this is where it is blocking a bunch of different domains. So if we click on this link right here, it's going to pull up basically a file, and it's a host file, and you can see that it is blocking a bunch of different ads. These are all the websites that it is blocking. And this is a crowdsourced list of ads that get blocked automatically through your PiHole. And you are able to add more if you are able to find other lists. You can add them here by just clicking Add. PiHole is an extremely powerful tool. You can actually use it as a VPN, which is something that we won't be doing in this video, but if you definitely like the video and you want to see that, if you want to see PiHole be used as a VPN to be able to block ads anywhere you go, please drop a like on the video and consider subscribing if you want to see more content like this. And that is it for now. That is all you have to do to get PiHole to start blocking ads on your home network. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.